Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. So happy to see all of you from Austin, Balika Madhavi Mataji, Rup Sagar Prabhu, Ishwari Radha Mataji from Florida, and there's wonderful devotees. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Pranam. So happy to see all of you. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we will be doing the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So we have any, because it's a long chapter, 47 verses, we will definitely not do the translation and verse today because it's going to take a time to cover, because there are many important aspects in the 6th chapter that we need to cover. So are there any kids that would like to read the translation, for first 5 verses? At least they get the, they can start and then we can ask the adults. Anand Kishore Prabhu, can you just ask the kids to first see if there are any kids?
Sure, Prabhu. Actually,
young Vaishnavas rather.
I can see
Palika Mataji or Pavani Bhakti Mataji or
Yeah, Prabhuji, I'm ready to read.
No. The kids are there?
Oh, kids, today they are not there, Prabhuji.
Okay.
They went out for service.
Okay. So let's do the translation. Then that's fine, Anand Kishore Prabhu, in the interest of time.
I think Rohini is there, if you want.
Who?
Rohini.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Just the translations, please. If you can just change the screen from advanced view to the translation, that will be better. Yes, go ahead. First 5 verses, and then you can call on whoever has put in the chat. Anand Kishore Prabhu.
Text 1, translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic. Not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. Text 2. What is called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Text number 3. For one who is a neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, should I call the names?
Yes, please.
Okay, Anuradha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. How many verses I should read, Prabhuji?
5.
Okay, Prabhuji. Translation. Text 6. From him who has conquered the mind is the best of the friend, but for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. 7. For one who has conquered the mind, the supersoul is already reached, for he has attained the tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. Text 8. A person is said to be established in self-realization, and it is called a yogi or majestic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such person is suited in transcendence and his self-control. He sees everything, whether it is a pebble stone or a glad, has it the same. Text 9. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest, well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral meditators, the envious. Oh, it went away.
What happened?
No, the screen went away, Prabhuji, that's what.
I can see it.
We all can see the screen.
But somehow I'm not able to see, Prabhuji. Text 10, I should read. Just a second. A transcendental should always engage his body, mind, and self in a relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a scheduled place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Ishwari Radha Mataji and then Priyanka Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point. Text 13-14. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Text 15. The practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God, or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence. Hare Krishna.
Priyanka Mataji.
Text 16. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. Text 17. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Text 18. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga. Text 19. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. I think next person can read because these are multiple.
Thank you. Up till 25. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah.
Palika Mataji.
Prabhuji, thank you. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in a boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. Text 24. One should engage oneself in practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all senses on all sides by the mind. Text 25. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by being of intelligence sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Shirisha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, text 26. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. Text 27. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to pass. Self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in the transcendental loving service to the Lord. Text 29. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me and the same Supreme Lord everywhere. Text 30. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Thank you.
Ramesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Text 31. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Supreme Soul, knowing that I and the Super Soul are one, remains always in me, in all circumstances. 32. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress. O Arjuna. 33. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. 34. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Text 35. Lord Sri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Jai.
Lalita Madhvi Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Text 36. For one whose mind is bridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. This is my opinion. Text 37. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness, and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? Text 38. O mighty armed Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? Text 39. This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. Text 40. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Hare Krishna.
Ankita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, I see Parth also volunteered to read. Maybe he can go first.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Yeah, Parth, can you go ahead?
Hare Krishna. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people, or into a family of rich aristocracy. Or, if unsuccessful after a long period of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, a birth is rare in this world. Or, taking such birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life and again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. And when the yogi himself, with sincere endeavor, makes further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains supreme goal. Thank you.
Ankita Mataji, last two verses.
Thank you, Prabhu. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. Text 47. And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Ankita Mataji. I'll just recite one verse and then we can get started. Prachoditayena pura saraswati vitanvatajasya satim smritim kriti salakshana pradurabhut kilasyata same rishinam rishabhak prasitatam. Thank you. So in the very first verse of the sixth chapter, Krishna he emphatically declares who is a sannyasi. And the beauty is that he still talks about work. He says one who's unattached to the fruits of work and who works as it is in the obligated order, as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is a true mystic. So here, the sannyasa or the yoga actually are being clubbed together, are being kind of combined together. And the purpose of either the sannyas or the yogi is to rise above the fruitive mentality or desiring to enjoy the senses. Please understand that desiring to enjoy the senses and fruitive mentality is almost the same, because through senses I work and the senses need gratification. My whole purpose lies in trying to enjoy the fruits of work. But here Krishna is mentioning that one who is a mystic or a sannyasi or a yogi, he does not stop working, but rather renounces the desire to enjoy the fruits. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that in the purport, that either extended, so sense gratification can mean this very narrow way of, okay, I'm just worried about myself. But Srila Prabhupada actually extends it. Even if you are working for the country, but it is still my country, and the way my is involved here. So that Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. And we can see prematurely those who take sannyas, they say that, and then the other point in the first verse is, he who lights no fire. Now, what do you mean by he who lights no fire? It can mean that a Brahmana who's performing the fire sacrifice every day, which is he is obligated, and now I'm done, I don't need to do that. That is the thing. Or even, for example, any other regulated prescribed duties one needs to perform, one is not performed. So that is mentioned here. And then in the second verse, Krishna actually further says what is called renunciation, you should know to be same as yoga, or linking oneself with Supreme. For never one can become a yogi unless he desires or renounces the desire for sense gratification. And please understand that we have been in this life, or in the material world, since time immemorial. It's impossible to give up unless one has developed an higher taste. And we will come to that as we go later in this verse. And then let's discuss the main topic of the 6th chapter from verse 3rd onwards. What is the title of the 6th chapter?
Dhyana Yoga.
Dhyana Yoga.
Dhyana Yoga. What is Dhyana Yoga? And so we can start 3rd verse actually from 6th chapter. Krishna starts describing about Dhyana Yoga. And then let's see. Can I ask? Can I ask Jayashree Mataji from Tennessee to read the purport to the 3rd verse of the 3rd chapter, please?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
The process of linking oneself with the Supreme is called yoga. It may be compared to a ladder for attaining the topmost spiritual realization. This ladder begins from the lowest material condition of the living entity and rises up to the perfect self-realization in pure spiritual life. According to various elevations, different parts of the ladder are known by different names. But all in all, the complete ladder is called yoga and may be divided into 3 parts, namely Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. The beginning of the ladder is called the Yoga Rurukshu stage, and the highest rung is called Yoga Rudha. Concerning the eightfold yoga system attempts in the beginning to enter into meditation through regulative principles of life and practice of different sitting postures, which are more or less bodily exercises, are considered fruitive material activities. All such activities lead to achieving perfect mental equilibrium to control the senses. When one is accomplished in the practice of meditation, he ceases all disturbing mental activities. Shall I read the last one also, Prabhuji?
Yes, please.
A Krishna conscious person, however, is situated from the beginning on the platform of meditation because he always thinks of Krishna. And being constantly engaged in the service of Krishna, he is considered to have ceased all material activities. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. So everybody got the handout on the yoga ladder. So if not, we will send it to you. So this is going to be a very key point of discussion today. What is yoga ladder? Srila Prabhupada refers in the third verse to the purport. He talks of specifically of the yoga ladder. In a nutshell, what is yoga ladder is that when people are born in this world in complete ignorance, they have absolutely no relationship with any sort of spiritual life or even a regulated life for that matter of fact. They just get up whenever they want, they sleep whenever they want, eat whatever they want, however they want, in whatever condition they want. It really doesn't matter. I get up in the morning and then I just start eating. There are no brushing teeth, no nothing. This is just, and same is the case with the four activities: ahara, nidra, bhaya, and maithuna. There is no regulations or rules or nothing. So that sort of life is completely an animalistic life. But when the human being realizes a little bit more, then the Vedic or the Vedas come into picture. At least then the human being starts to think, oh, okay, there is something called Vedas. And then the Vedas actually talk of, in majority, of different kinds of activities for satisfying the senses or improving one's economic condition. In fact, Krishna mentions in the second chapter, he does mention, especially the verses 42, 43, 44, 45, those ranges. He talks about how yoga is mainly constituting the three modes of material nature and either dissatisfied with just the animalistic living or just gross sense gratification of this world. And it's a fact. You can just see the stories abound in day-to-day news about people having tremendous amount of wealth but having no knowledge on how to enjoy, taking on many bizarre and different things to enjoy this world because of the lack of knowledge. But when either the frustration comes because of just dissatisfied engagement of senses and sense gratification in a very, very unrestricted way, or it could be that you have some awakening or some Paramatma intuition, intuitively telling you, maybe there is a higher thing. In that connection, you actually get connected to Vedas. But the problem with the Vedas is that they talk of many, many duties and activities and worship of many demigods that can promote you to the higher planet, that can give you good progeny, so on and so forth. So that section is called Sakama Karma Yoga. So that is actually that's Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda is Vishnu is not even coming into picture. You are just performing the Karma Kanda aspect of the Vedas. The Vedas have three aspects, that is Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda, where Karma Kanda talks purely of sacrifices to move to heavenly planets and so on and so forth. And once the Karma Kanda section is above that, and Krishna says, don't stop at Karma Kanda. Don't think that because I'm performing Vedic rituals, I am advanced. He says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna, Nirdvandvo, Nitya Sattvastvo, Niryoga Kshima Mahatmavan. He says, oh Arjuna, the Vedas mainly deal with the three modes of material nature. rise above them. And so he talks, he just leaves it at that in the second chapter. When one awakens, oh, I see the Veda, Karma Kanda, different worship to the demigods and sacrifices. Actually, there is one boss. There is actually one power, one controller, the supreme controller, that is Vishnu. Then you start worshipping Lord Vishnu, but the desire to maintain your position, whatever it may be, still be continuing it. And in that sense, you are performing. So there are three things that happen. You are performing activities for Vishnu, yes or yes. You are performing it, and because you are performing activity, it is karma yoga, yes or yes. But because I want some results from the performance of my duties to Vishnu, that is called Sakama Karma Yoga, which means that I am interested in the fruits, in the end results of my service to Vishnu. And broadly, Sakama Karma Yogis are the demigods. And we can see again and again in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam that how, whenever there is difficulty, they approach Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu helps them overcome the demons. Or time and again we see it. The story of Bali Maharaj and Vamanadev, or story of Ritrasura, or so many stories are there. Or Brahma meditating upon Lord Vishnu when Bhumi comes in the 10th canto, saying that in many cases the demigods are Sakam Karma Yogis. They are on a very different powerful level, don't get me wrong, but they are still in that category. Nishkam Karma Yoga is a step higher above Sakam Karma Yoga, where the devotee says, I'm not attached to the fruits of the work, or at least I'll give portion of the fruits of my work to God, but at the same time, I am going to do my work. So Karma Yoga broadly has Nishkam and Sakam Karma Yoga, two divisions. Above that, when one achieves perfection in Karma Yoga, then one reaches Jnana Yoga. In the 4th chapter, we learned towards the end, Krishna talks of various sacrifices. And he mentions that the one who has achieved the end result of all these sacrifices is transcendental knowledge, or Jnana. And when one achieves perfection in Jnana Yoga, then one completely becomes convinced, I am not material, but I am spiritual. But the problem comes is, I'm completely spiritual, but what about you? Are you material or spiritual? And the other aspect is, the God is not completely there in picture. And even if God is there in picture, God is realized as Brahman when one achieves perfection in Jnana Yoga. And that is what happens mostly in different schools in India. That Brahman is the ultimate truth means that one is following the path of Jnana. Now, above Jnana Yoga is what is called Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga, there are two stages. In the present verse 3 and 4, Krishna is talking of two aspects or two stages of Dhyana Yoga. First is called Arurukshu and Arudha. Arurukshu means the beginning stages of Dhyana Yoga. And Arudaha means the advanced or the elevated stage of Dhyana Yoga. So far, so good. Questions? You're all good? Terminology wise? Good.
Prabhuji, can you tell once more Sakama Yoga? Is it okay?
So Sakama Yoga is, I perform activities for Lord Vishnu with a desire to attain the fruits or to maintain my position. I'm expecting something from Lord Vishnu. And that is the reason for the performance of my devotion to Lord Vishnu. And that is Sakam Karma Yoga. And Nishkam Karma Yoga is, one is not attached to the fruits of one's work. And the example for Nishkam Karma Yoga is Karmanyevadikaraste ma phileshu kadasana, the famous words from the which chapter?
4th.
Karmanyevadikaraste, again, which chapter?
Chapter.
4th.
Karmanyevadikaraste ma phileshu kadasana ma karma palaheturbur mate sangostva karmani. Again, which chapter?
Second chapter.
Thank you. Thank you. Second chapter, 47th verse. So on that point of, from that point onwards, Krishna, that is the essence of Nishkam Karma Yoga. And perfection of Karma Yoga leads to Jnana, where the devotee realizes the supreme absolute truth as Brahman. And then the next step of Jnana Yoga is Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga is what we are discussing now. And Dhyana Yoga has two... Sorry? Yes, go ahead.
So Sakam Karma Yoga is different from the fruitive activities in the sense that when we are worshipping, then instead of Lord Vishnu, we are worshipping the demigods. Okay.
Exactly. Because the Vedic rituals actually mention, if you worship this demigod, you get this result. You worship this demigod, you get this result, and so on and so forth. So in the Dhyana Yoga, there are two stages. The beginning stage is called, what is the beginning stage?
Yoga
Aruruksha.
And then advanced stage is called?
Arudha.
Yoga Arudha.
Prabhuji, you said it is in the purport for text 3?
Yeah. In the beginning of the ladder is called Yoga Arurukshu, and the highest rung is called Yoga Arudha.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mother. Yeah, if you see the last line of the first paragraph, if you can highlight that, that is where it's mentioned. The last line of the first paragraph. So Krishna in the next verse, so far so good with the yoga ladder.
Oh, one question actually. Why Srila Prabhupada mentions 3 parts of yoga: Jnana, Dhyana, and Bhakti Yoga? Only 3?
So the idea there is that Karma Yoga in of itself will not attain perfection without Jnana. So Jnana Yoga is actually dependent on Karma Yoga for its perfection. For example, if one looks up in the 4th chapter, let's look it up, that particular aspect of it. So it will be interesting. If whoever is presenting can open the 4th chapter, and we can open up, because this is so 25th verse, if you can see, Krishna first talks of do-it-yourself project. In Home Depot, if you can go, you can have do-it-yourself project, yes or yes. Means you get all your stuff, you do it at home. The other thing is you call a contractor and you call an expert on the subject, and you get the instantaneous knowledge. So Krishna is talking about these. You don't need to open, So here you can see 25th is some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them, and some offer sacrifices in the fire of Supreme Brahman. Then for the brahmacharis, they offer their senses. The grihasthas offer different kind of ingredients or substances. And what happens with this is, in the 30th verse it's mentioned. You get perfection. All the performers who know the meaning of sacrifices become cleansed of all sinful reaction, and having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifice, they advance towards the supreme eternal atmosphere. And you can see the 33rd verse, not 33rd, and let's see. Yeah, so you can see all these places, those karma yoga or the sacrifices, they culminate in the knowledge. In the 33rd it's mentioned, O chastiser of enemy, the sacrifice sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in
transcendental knowledge.
So that is the reason why mere karma yoga will you will get perfection unless it is combined with jnana, and you will get the jnana. So those two are, that's why, clubbed together, Anand Kishore Prabhu. And then the minimum benchmark is at least if you have perfection in jnana, then you realize Brahman. In karma yoga also there is perfection, don't get me wrong. Karma yoga also, because one persistently performs the sacrifices according to the Vedas, in the end that person is cleansed and again comes to the platform of jnana.
Okay, thank you, Ravu.
Your okay was not really convincing. Was there a follow-up question in there?
No, bro. I was just thinking about, in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapila Dev tells Devavati, Neha yet karma dharmaya, na viragaya kalpate. If the karma doesn't lead to dharma, and then the dharma doesn't lead to na vairagya, and then na tirtha padasevi, then he gives the progression. When he talks about the Sankhya philosophy. So I was just thinking about that actually. Even there, the karma should lead to dharma. Of course, here it is jnana. Krishna talks about jnana. But yeah, thank you, bro. It was really useful.
Thank you. And the dharma mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam is the dharma of the soul, not the dharma of the body, because it has not. The dharma means the conviction that I am a part of God, or I'm spiritual. So it is pretty much the same. And then dharma is actually, Srila Prabhupada explains in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita what exactly is the word dharma used for. And so, yeah. But you're right. It pretty much leads to the same point.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you,
Ravu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Dhanavad, Prabhu. I have a question, Prabhu.
Actually, my humble request is, from your past sound and voice, I'm assuming you're Rambabu. Is that correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
Good. So if you can just, either the person projecting can project the name on the screen, or can just tell your name, because there are quite few screens and it is hard for me to track. So please forgive me for that.
Sorry, Prabhu.
No, I am sorry. I fault, not yours. Go ahead, Rambabu Garu.
Yeah. Prabhuji, generally when we say Jnana Yoga, so the realization of, the purpose of Jnana Yoga is mentioned to be the impersonal Brahman.
Yes.
Or why Jnana Yoga is considered higher than, because there is no supremacy of the Lord being mentioned. The demigods understand that the Vishnu is the supreme personality of Godhead, and then they act as his representative, which seems to be a kind of service to the Supreme Lord. So then why Jnana Yoga, which doesn't have any relationship with the Supreme, is considered higher than the Nishkama or Sakama Karma Yoga, Prabhu?
Oh, okay. I see. Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, second chapter, in the famous second chapter, it is mentioned, Vadanti tattattoidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. That absolute truth is designated as either Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. So, based on your path, the same absolute truth is revealed as Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. So to say that Lord Vishnu is not mentioned in Jnana Yoga is incorrect. It's another form of Lord Vishnu, which is the Brahman aspect. So that is clear?
Yes, Prabhu. But my major Major, and generally I see that impersonalists, they reject the form of the Lord, the Brahman related persons. So in that aspect.
So the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam actually talks about worshipping the Lord Vishnu in the form of Virat Rupa. For those who have no transcendental form of Lord Vishnu comes as the Yajnapati, or the personality of this material world. So in the beginning stages, though they worship Lord Vishnu, they still worship Lord Vishnu within the realms of matter, or the Virat Rupa. And then transcendental to that form, though Lord Vishnu is transcendental either ways, but from the perception of the yogi, Brahman is on a higher platform than Virat Rupa. Is that okay, Rambabu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Understand.
Other questions? Other comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat.
So, Prabhu, you mentioned that there are three yogas, like you said, like Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, and Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga are combined together. So can one follow Ashtanga Yoga separately, or like one needs to do Karma Jnana and then he goes to Ashtanga Yoga?
Thank you. And I'm sorry, Prabhu, I didn't get your name. I couldn't see your name. I can't see. I couldn't get your name, Prabhu.
Prabhu, my name is Timir Nandi.
Oh, Timir! Yes, now I can see the face. See, I talked to you, but I didn't see your face. So good. Now I can put the name to the face. So one of the things is, it is not like the yoga ladder is not like school grades. So a person goes from, or little bit also like, a person goes from first to second grade. Doesn't mean that there is no basis of what that person has learned in the first grade. That is one way. The other thing is, please understand that it is not a black and white section, as in, now you are a karma yogi, now you are a jnana yogi, now and then you are done with everything else. It doesn't work that way. For example, in devotional service, are we all working for Krishna? We are all like, we are doing cutting, cleaning, and somebody, one of my best friends, Amit Prabhu, he does the parking, regulating the parking. All these things, we are doing it for Krishna, but strictly speaking, are we like, is it pure bhakti yoga? Is it mentioned that, if you sweep the temple, it is Shravanam Kirtanam, not, sweeping Mapanam, which as is you are not sweeping and mopping the temple. It's not mentioned as one of the bhakti yogas. The idea here is that every different yoga has attachment to Lord Vishnu, but pure devotional service constitutes of these three activities. And if you are not yet there, we still can do all these activities for him, to help him. So the idea here is karma yoga, and all these yoga systems are intrinsically connected to Krishna, but it is just more and more you get closer to Krishna through bhakti yoga. That is the only difference. Is that okay, Timir?
Sorry, Prabhu. I think maybe I didn't ask it clearly.
Sorry, yes. Actually,
so my question was that you said karma yoga and jnana yoga, like they are clubbed together. So yeah, so my question was that, like Ashtanga yoga, like is it totally separate, or because maybe I was under the impression that after dhyana yoga then you go to Ashtanga yoga. So in that way we can like club these three of them together.
Oh,
like
no.
yoga and you can club three of them together, and then we can say that there are two paths, like one is Ashtanga yoga and one is bhakti yoga.
So okay, I want to clear. You have dhyana and Ashtanga yoga are the same. Dhyana and Ashtanga yoga are the same. We will come to the 8 limbs of the Ashtanga yoga in a minute, but Dhyana and Ashtanga yoga are the same, where the goal of Dhyana yoga is to realize Paramatma or the Lord as Paramatma. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdati. The Dhyana Yoga leads to the realization that you'll see Paramatma or you see the Lord in everybody's heart. So Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, while clubbed, would be somewhat of a not the perfect word for it, but rather it is a stepping stone, and so that's why it's called the ladder, which means that you step on one and then you step on the next, on that sense. So Karma Yoga actually will be a stepping stone for Jnana, and the perfection of karma will lead to Jnana. And then if a person doesn't go beyond that, then he sees I am spirit soul and God is also spirit soul. But the difference between me and God is mixed up. That is the reason Mayavadi flourishes on Brahman knowledge. Because, God is like Nirakar and Nirvishesh. I am Nirakar and Nirvishesh. So I am that. But when one goes to Dhyana, then you see that Lord is not just Brahman, but is also Paramatma. But it's the same. The beauty is Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam. So what's the word used there?
Advayam.
Advayam means what?
Like non-dual.
What do you mean? It's a fascinating word. What is non-dual? I mean, is it one? No. It is three different things. But is it different? No. It is non-dual. You see the thing that Lord can appear as Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagavan based on how the devotee approaches him. So in this case, for your coming back to your very academic way, we can say Karma Yoga leads to Jnana Yoga, and realization of Jnana is Brahman. But if one further advances, then one performs Ashtanga Yoga. But please understand, even in the Ashtanga Yoga, in the beginning stages is called Arurukshu, and still you have to perform Nishkaram Karma Yoga. Basically, it is more of a spiral. It's not like compartments that I jump from one compartment to next with no connection to the previous compartment. It is more my realization and Krishna's mercy upon me keeps expanding as I move forward in the yoga ladder. Fair?
Yes, so thank you, Prabhu. Like, just to verify if I understood correctly, so you mentioned like if one does Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, and one can achieve perfection by Jnana Yoga, then he will understand Krishna as Brahman. But if someone goes to the next step, then he will do Ashtanga Yoga, and then he can achieve perfection by Ashtanga Yoga. He will understand Krishna as Paramatma.
Correct.
And then if one goes further to the Bhakti Yoga, then he will perform Bhakti Yoga, and then he can understand Krishna as Narayan or Krishna himself. Something.
Excellent realization.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. So coming back, Ashtanga Yoga has 8 limbs. And the 8 limbs are called, Yama, Niyama, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So they are the 8 limbs. Srila Baladev. Now, one question people might have is, what is the stage among these 8 where I graduate or I get promotion from Arurukshuhu to Arudha? And Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan says from the stage of Dhyana. Up till Dhyana, you are still in the Arurukshuhu stage. But from Dhyana onwards, you are in the Arudha stage.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, may I ask one question? Is it time?
Maybe let me complete a little bit more, because I think we are in the 4th verse and we have like only 1 hour left. So hold to the thoughts. I'll just complete a little bit themes and then we'll come back, Sirisha Mataji, if that's okay. Anvaya
Yes,
is also
Prabhuji.
asking you something.
No, definitely.
All right. And then, well, that is, and then from verses 5 and 6, Srila Prabhupada talks about the mind and how the mind is the best friend or the enemy of the living entity. And in fact, it is a common difficulty in the material world that, you know, to control the mind is not that straightforward or easy. In fact, it is a little difficult. We'll come to that a little bit later. And then the symptoms of a person in Yogarudha stage are mentioned in 7 through 9. And then till the 22nd, 23rd, we will see that the perfection or the symptoms of one who is accomplished, or the of a person who has accomplished perfection in the Ashtanga Yoga is mentioned. Then Krishna talks about going to the forest. So try to understand this truth. People generally, they say, oh my goodness gracious, if you read Bhagavad Gita, you will become renounced and go to forest. And here exactly opposite. Till the 6th chapter, Krishna is saying you don't even have a chance to go to forest. In the 6th chapter, when you have actually reached to the perfection in the Brahman realization, then Krishna is saying that that point of time, when you have really become advanced, then you can go to forest. And he mentions about finding a seat which is neither high nor too low, and so on and so forth. Is that okay? Let's see what else. And the yoga system that Krishna mentions is pretty excruciating. Please understand, in the modern context, he says one should go to the forest, select a place which is neither too high nor too low. What else does Krishna say in there?
Not eat too much.
Not eat too much, not too little. And one should be completely celibate, or one can be a grihastha at that point of time.
You have to be celibate.
And then do you have to go, can you go to the forest and then, you know, make a fence saying that this property is mine and, you know, nobody can come inside. Trespassers will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of law. Krishna says nirahankara, nirashisha, means we have no possession that this is mine. You cannot do that. Easy process, no? Not difficult. What do you think? It's not easy at all. In fact, I was reading an article that people who have so much of wealth, Lalita Madhavi Mataji, they have so much of wealth. So their next frontier, they don't know what to do or what to accomplish. They give $70,000 to a company that will help them climb the Himalayan mountains. So they have to do a lot of exercises here, have low oxygen level, training, whatever they need to do. God knows what they do. Then they have to go to the Himalayas, and the base camp. So the Himalayas is like 30,000 feet. So you have to climb all the way to 30,000 feet. The base camp is set at 16,000 feet. I don't remember. So that's where you go. You pitch in your tents. There you are livable. You pitch in your tents, and there is a big queue of people who are waiting to climb. Why people are waiting to climb? Because in the entire year, only 2 weeks maximum, you will have the period where the winds won't blow and just, you know, blow you off Himalayas. You have that window and you need to climb. The remaining time, what do? You sit here in the base camp. And then the base camp is not like a 5-star hotel. It is basically tents you pitch. And it seems people don't follow the etiquette regarding evacuation, I heard. And so it's pretty bad out there. And it's freezing. You have to answer the call of the nature. You have to wake up in the middle of night and find a hole, do your thing, come back. It's hard. I don't know why people do it. People do it. You might be saying Srivasa Pandit Dasa is kind of gone rockers. Why is he telling all this stuff? The reason is, in this age, if you want to go to Himalayas to meditate, you will have all these people waiting and filling the place. And they will have all the soda cans and the plastic and the garbage. In fact, I could see that people were waiting to climb, and I saw the pictures. There was a rope and about 20-30 people, one behind another, waiting like a line in the thing, waiting to climb. What peace you will get, or what place you will get to do meditation in this world? And you think you can take off to the forest? No, Krishna says first you have to do so many things. You have to do all the karma yoga, the jnana yoga, and then you get the permission to go to Himalayas, and you go to Himalayas, that will happen. You will be having more interruptions. Kali Yuga, that is a problem. What is the solution? And Srila Prabhupada, please read the purports. Time and again he says this is impractical for this age. Why impractical for this age? Arjuna, he asked 5,000 years ago. What did he say? Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. He says mind is really strong and I can't control the mind. And one of the acharyas say why Arjuna asks that question, because he was saying in the let's look up the verse number 30. It is which one? 10th. Yeah, 10th is the, no, let's look up the characteristics of a person who has achieved all perfection.
Prabhu, it's 33, I guess.
33, thank you. Yes, I was looking for that. Let's see, 33. No, we'll come to that. The thing I was trying to see him is that 29, a true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees me in every being. Now, if you tell that to Arjuna, and if Arjuna actually starts seeing truly that Paramatma is sitting in everyone's heart, will he kill 1 million soldiers in one day that he did when he took the vow of killing Jayadratha?
No, he would have probably had a hard time.
Exactly. You are saying, oh Krishna, you are saying, see everybody equally. You are asking me to do this. So he is taking, his dilemma is about killing the opposite party, which is his own relatives and teachers. But he's taking the role of a common man, saying, oh Krishna, this is too much. I can't do this. I will not be able to do this. And in Kali Yuga, it's next to impossible. The more technologically we are advanced, what will happen is, your spouse, your husband or wife, whatever they'll say, just check, how much is 1 ounce for the grams. Can you check on the internet? And then 4 hours later, your wife asks you, oh, what happened? Did you check that? Oh my God, you'll say, in 4 hours, I checked my Facebook. I updated every Facebook account. All the LinkedIn, Twitters are updated, taken care of. I'm current on that, current on the news. Also, I did that shopping. 2 or 3 Black Friday sales happened. I ordered that stuff. And then when your wife asks that, oh my God, that's why I was here. This is just the nature. I'm sorry. But in the meanwhile, you'll have a few more texts that you answered on your phone. And then probably you might have also had an iPad. God knows. In any case, this is the nature. How can we do this? Is it even practical? Is it even possible? Or, biggest question you are asking, Prabhu, why are we doing all this for Bhakti Shastri? Anyway, this is list. And why is Krishna telling all this stuff? Please understand that the process of Bhakti Yoga or the process of devotional service to Krishna is so sublime, so pure, and so effective. And most importantly, with no prerequisites, with no ask that you should do all these things before you can actually chant my names. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this material world to freely give that bhakti with no qualification consideration, with no background checking whether this person did that or didn't do this or what level you are on. He gave that profound bhakti to Krishna, and that too not like a Mishra bhakti or just pure bhakti, and that too Vraja bhakti, to give that highest level of realization of Krishna for this fallen age of Kali. And that's why he's called Mahavadanyaya. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurat Vishe Namaha. Even as the Lord came as Sri Krishna, he says first Sarvadharman Parityaja, and then Mahaprabhu didn't even consider that. And you can see how difficult it is in the previous ages, as Arjuna mentions in the next few verses. Oh Krishna, this system of yoga that you said is unendurable to me, and I cannot do this. But Krishna says, you should practice. Having said that, we do also have we are not some wild people. The devotees, as devotees, we are not wild people either, as in we are freely doing anything and everything. And then we are just chanting Hare Krishna. We do have certain rules and regulations, certain regulative principles to follow. And that requires mind control. So don't get me wrong, we are also controlling our mind. But the beauty is that our mind control is having a positive effect where we are tasting the higher level of service to Krishna, and consequently it's easier to control the mind. The yoga process is steadily you control your own mind till the point you reach dhyana yoga, and then you'll realize Krishna. And that is true. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shoshati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu.
Mad bhakti labate param.
So is the bhakti starting or the ending in that verse?
Ending, no?
So what is the starting point? So Brahma bhuta prasanna. First complete the process of jnana, and then samasarveshu bhuteshu. Samasarveshu bhuteshu is there in the 6th chapter as well. So you come to the dhyana stage, and then Krishna says mad bhakti, then you will get my devotion to me. But here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he just said forget all this. And that is the reason why it is difficult for us as devotees sometimes, because our mind is not 100% controlled. We don't immediately see the beauty and sweetness of Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 4th canto, the 4 Kumaras, they approached or they smelt the fragrance of tulsi leaf. The lotus feet of Lord Vishnu was adorned with the tulsi leaf, and the fragrance of that tulsi leaf entered their nostrils, and that caused a profound change in the heart. What's that verse? Tasya padaravinda kinjal kamishra tulasi makaranda vayu antah swagat antah Antagata swa vivarena chakara tesham sankshobitam aksharajusham apichitta tanboho. It is mentioned in Srim. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. So, because we are not on the Brahmabhuta stage or on the Paramatma stage, our bhakti is not immediately awakened. And there is the reason why we have that struggle. I don't know about you, exalted souls, but I can tell for myself, having had a very despicable background, to get bhakti without having the prerequisite, there is going to be a little bit of struggle. But we are getting the highest form of yoga for the lowest possible background screening. If their background screening was done to qualify or to see who was eligible for performing Raja Bhakti, then at least I would have failed that test a million times over. And then Krishna, the other thing is, because this process of dhyana yoga is having so many prerequisites, Arjuna asks this question, oh Krishna, what happens to that yogi, who initially starts off with strong enthusiasm and later it's too much for me, I can't do this mind control, this sense control, this is way too much for me. And then he gives it up. And then Krishna says, oh son of Pritha, one who performs yoga is never affected by evil. And in the next life, he is born in the family of either a rich person or a transcendentalist. Here, the qualification is for those in the early stages of Dhyana Yoga, which is in the Arurukshu stage, if they fall down, then they take birth in the family of rich people. But in the Yoga Rudha stage, then they take birth in the family of transcendentalists who are exalted spiritualists or exalted devotees in that birth. And Krishna says that birth is very rare, which by stretch of imagination, to reach to that stage is pretty rare. And then the other beautiful thing is, Krishna says that when you take birth in such a family of transcendentalists, it's not you need to start all over again. You are not going to search after yoga or yogic principles. What is going to happen? The yogic principles are going to search after you. And then you automatically get attracted and you will start from that stage again. Isn't it nice that at least we are, by mercy of Srila Prabhupada and and his disciples, that we are today at least reading and discussing ways and means to get out of this material existence. Otherwise, you can see 9 months ago, at the beginning of this year, which is almost going to get close in a few weeks. Now, the beginning of the year, if somebody had foretold you that it will be like this, you would say probably that is really not possible. But yet, the material world can change so rapidly. The best way that we are investing our time is to read Prabhupada's books and to equip ourselves with this knowledge to go back home, back to Godhead. So after this, in the 46th and the 47th verse, Krishna leaves off with a very famous verse. In the 47th verse, he says, Yoginam api sarvesham mat gate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samay yukto tamo mataha. He says that of all this yoga system, of all these yogis, one who actually serves me with faith and serves me with devotion, he's the highest of all. So when you are accused, or when as devotees you are accused, oh, man, you people have nothing else to do except bhakti, 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 bhakti. All the time you are talking about bhakti, bhakti and Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. There's nothing else to do in life. Do you do at least some yoga practices? Do you do some sort of rituals? Do you do some sort of serious exercises, ashtanga and this and that? What's your point? What do you get by doing this? And some people might be exasperated like that. Is it just me?
That happens to us, yeah.
It's just, you don't celebrate Diwali, you don't do whatever you do, all you do is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, but nothing else in life. So the idea is, this is what Krishna is saying, that those who actually worship me with faith, worship me with devotion, they are the highest yogis. And that is Krishna's opinion. Now, if you want to reach Krishna, you have to consider his opinion. And besides, the other thing is, how much time do you have to do other processes in this life? The Kali Yuga is fraught with yep. Sarava Prabhu said, yes, Durga Puja. Yeah. Anyways, our lifetime is extremely short. We don't have time to do all these things. And even Krishna says, you want to try doing all these things? Do it. Bahunam janmanam ante. Then what happens?
Jnanavan.
Then what happens? After that, what happens?
Vasudevam
Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha.
Coming to that same point, either you can take the jnana and many lives go by, then you come to the same thing, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, and you have to surrender to Krishna. Might as well do that. That's why Krishna is saying this is the best process. So the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita actually are the yoga ladder that explain the various processes. And then from 7th through 12th onwards, it is actually the chapters describe the Bhakti Yoga. And there Krishna, he explains to himself. Till now, he barely talked about himself, right? Barely he talked. If you see, in the first chapter, he didn't talk anything. Arjuna was doing most of the talking, not all. Actually, all talking. Second chapter, Krishna in the 60th verse, he just briefly says, work for me. In the third chapter, he says, he doesn't even do so much as myself. He just says in the 30th verse of the third chapter, he says, work for me. In the fourth chapter, he just says about his birth a little bit and his mission. Fifth chapter, again, not so much. Sixth, at the end, he says, those who worship me. Then he talks of Bhakti Yoga. And from the 7th onwards, we have a full-blown discussion of Bhakti Yoga from 7th through 12th, where Krishna talks about himself and his energies. And more importantly, he talks about the connection of the living entities with himself. So all these things are discussed. So this is the summary. Yes, Sirisha Mataji, you had a question, and then we can start with a question. So we'll leave ample time for question and answers.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, what is the difference between Nishkam Karma Yoga and looks to be same as you are saying for me?
Sorry, Mataji, you broke up a little bit.
What is the difference between Nishkam Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga?
Nishkam Karma Yoga is to not desire the fruits of one's action, and Bhakti Yoga is to serve Krishna. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaran.
Oh, Nishkam Karma Yoga also, while you're saying, I feel it's the same as Bhakti Yoga somehow.
No. So Karma Yoga is, I will do what I want and offer it to Krishna. And in Bhakti Yoga, I'll do what Krishna wants.
But in a sadhaka state, now we are doing Nishkam Karma Yoga, right, Prabhu, or Bhakti Yoga?
We are doing Bhakti Yoga. There is no Nishkam Karma Yoga here, because we are not actually, are you not going to temple? Are you not seeing Krishna as the two-handed form? Are you not worshipping him? You are seeing Krishna as not as Brahman, but as Bhagavan himself, and you are a devotee. So in the sadhaka stage and in the sadhya stage, you are still doing pure Bhakti Yoga. Though you may have some activities which are not directly, might not seem directly in like Bhakti Yoga. So, because Krishna never says go distribute books. Right? Did he say that? No, it is the order given by Srila Prabhupada that we do it, and that is intrinsically linked to Krishna. Because that is, it's going on Sankirtan. Kirtan means you are glorifying Krishna like this in ways that are, so it is purely Bhakti Yoga, Mataji, what you are doing. I have no doubt about it.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Other questions? Anybody in the chat? Let's see. Yeah, no Durga Puja celebration. Good one, Prem Sarovar Prabhu. They will be shocked. My God, you don't do any Lakshmi Puja. You must be like homeless people living under the bridges.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
If nobody has a question, can I ask?
Oh,
Yes,
Prabhuji. Oh, okay. You go, Prabhuji, and then afterwards I will ask Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay, Mataji. Thank you. So I was just thinking that, Krishna says that one must deliver himself with the help of mind. But in the third chapter, when he says, Evam Buddhe Param Buddha, Samsabhya Atman Atmana. So he says one should cultivate deliberate spiritual intelligence. So he talks about that. And then when we read Bhagavad Gita, for example, right, we are cultivating intelligence so that we can control mind and senses. So why mind here too? It's because normally, the way the flow goes, Krishna, I could see that, Krishna describes many qualities of Siddha Pragya, in the second chapter, and then in the sixth chapter, he's actually telling more about that. But then here he talks about mind, interestingly.
So in the third chapter, Krishna talks about knowledge as a means to controlling the mind, or giving the hierarchy of what the restraint should happen. When one, but the central focus of every spiritual endeavor is the mind, because mind has more power than intelligence most of the times. And in fact, it is mentioned in fifth canto that mind has fierce god-like powers. So because the mind is the controller of all the senses, and the senses are directly inputting the mind, pun intended, a mind has a mind of its own, which is not going to be obeying the intelligence or the spirit soul. So the idea there is, one way when you are in the path of karma yoga is that the unbridled mind can be brought under control using intelligence to certain extent, because at least with intelligence you can reason with the mind, not to positively worship Krishna, but to negatively do the lustful activities which Arjuna mentions. You remember in the third chapter he says, "Oh Krishna, what causes a person to act as if by force?"
Yeah, that's.
So mind control was still there, but at that point of time it was more in context with the lust. And then they said use intelligence, because the mind right now is so dirty, right? There are three levels of the lust, Krishna says, like the embryo covered with the womb, the mirror covered by the dust, and the smoke which covers the fire. So he says the mind at that point of time you cannot deal with directly, because you can't use the mind, because you will get sucked into the mind. First use the intelligence to cleanse the mind or to chop the mind, and then once the mind becomes purified, use that very mind to pull it out. Otherwise you can't directly control your mind.
So can we infer that in the dhyana yoga stage mind is sufficiently purified, because and Krishna is saying that with the help of mind do something, so I can infer, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
And at this point of time, because we are gradually trending towards Bhakti Yoga, Ananda Kishore Prabhu, intelligence will fail in Bhakti Yoga. It is the mind that can absorb. I can't use intelligence and logic again to figure out Krishna and his activities. It is the mind has to be receiving or be satisfied with the pastimes of Krishna. Intelligence takes a backseat, but rather the mind kind of again becomes prominent, because the mind is the reflection of the moon and the source of rasa, because the rasa tattva has to start. Otherwise it will become dry tarki. It keep on going tarki and logic.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Other comments?
Prabhuji, can you explain me text 41 and 42 verse, Prabhuji? In Dhyani, the unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, he is born into the family of virtuous people, or into the family of
rich aristocracy. Yes. And then so here this is an answer to Arjuna's question to Krishna. Oh Krishna, what happens to the person who takes up to this path of yoga that you just described, and is unable to control the mind? Because you said controlling the mind completely is the part of the package, but I find it very difficult to control. So what happens if one gives up and gives up this path? What happens? What is the destination? And Krishna says he's either born in the family of a rich person or a rich aristocracy, or they are born in the family of transcendentalists or advanced souls in this world, those who take up to this path and for a short time, they are born in the family of rich aristocracy. And for those who practice for a long time, then they take birth in the transcendentalists or the family of transcendentalists. And in the 43rd verse, even though he or she might not be attached too much to yoga, and you can see that happening, somehow or other, a person is just doing their business. They don't have any anything to do with any material, any spiritual path or something like that. They get a book or something happens, and we have seen these stories many times. A person gets a book and they take it to like fish to the water. They're so naturally into it, and they immediately get back to the level that they were in the previous life. So here Krishna is saying that this path of yoga, it is never destroyed, and even in the next life I can start from where I left off. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. But one more, Prabhuji, sorry. Why Krishna is telling one should born in higher family? What is the reason, Prabhuji?
It is not should be born, he will be born because of his past life.
Past life, okay. So if he in the past life, if he do good things, then he will be born in higher family, right, Prabhuji?
That is for this particular yoga process, correct. But for the bhakti yoga, there is no prerequisite or there is no consideration of the past birth. In fact, Bhagavatam mentions Aho Batasva Pachato Gariyan. That particular verse says that even if a person is born in the family of Chandalas or dog eaters, if they chant the names of Krishna, they become qualified. So, bhakti yoga, the prerequisites are not needed, but here, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mati. Nice question. Uncle had a question.
There are questions on Sudha Mataji first, and then Shruti Priya Mataji, and then Ankur Prabhu.
Okay, let's go.
So, Sudha Mataji, would you like to go ahead?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Tanut Pranam. Yeah, Prabhuji, just can you please explain a little bit more elaborately, like Ashtanga Yoga, 8 limbs, which you mentioned, Prabhuji, just to get a more...
Sure. So, the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, the first limb is called Yama. Yama and Niyama means following the rules and regulations. Yama is you shouldn't do certain things, don'ts, and Niyama is do's. So in this case, it can either mean doing one's duty, it can mean doing the pujas or whatever be it. Those are the 2 limbs, the beginning with the Yama and Niyama. Then the third thing is what is called asanas. Now, commonly what we see in the yoga clubs or the yoga studios or the yoga instructions, the asanas are what take prominence. And unfortunately, instead of considering the asanas as the third step of Ashtanga Yoga, they just become exercises. So, so the bodily exercises are meant so that the body, which can take to the next step, which is from the asanas to pranayama. Pranayama is breath control, incoming breathe and controlling the outgoing breathe, and so on and so forth. So why do we do this? The reason we do this is because breathing exercises help one calm mind. Even in the ordinary course of thing, if one is agitated, they say breathe, so that your mind will calm down. So the whole idea of that is breathing process, which is the pranayama. And then the 5th one is pratyahara. Pratyahara literally means withdrawing the senses from the sense objects. Because the mind becomes calm, it's not that much agitated, it's not that much in the mode of passion. You can withdraw the senses from the sense objects. So that is pratyahara. And then next step is called dharana. Dharana is meditating or fixing the mind on the form of the Lord. And in this case, usually it is the Vishnu form or the Paramatma form within the heart. And usually by intense practice, that form, the Lord reveals that Paramatma form to the yogi through the eyes. That is dharana. And then dhyana is the further intensification of that meditation on the Lord. And it's more intensified. And then the last step is called samadhi. Samadhi is in a trance where you are in that. There is no external or internal consciousness. You are absorbed in the Lord 24/7. So that is trance or samadhi. And the verses 6-28 describe about the samadhi, the stage wherein you get highest joy. Is that okay? The 8 steps.
Yes, Prabhuji. So Prabhuji, just a question, Prabhuji. Just make sure that if I'm understanding it correctly, like Prabhuji mentioned, like Ashtanga yoga, like first is karma, then jnana, then Ashtanga, then Bhakti yoga, right, Prabhuji?
Right.
Like a devotee, like so we can directly do Bhakti yoga. We don't have to. Do we have to go through? Like, do we have to like practice Ashtanga yoga?
No, you don't need to. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has always said that he has picked parts of the different yoga systems that you can use. For example, we do definitely follow yuktahara viharasya, like, balanced in our approach to life. Definitely that we follow. And then, but otherwise, strictly no, we don't need to do all these asanas and the yogic postures and so on and so forth. No, we don't need to do nothing.
Oh, okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Obviously, if you want to calm the mind, then you can always do asanas. But it is not needed. If it can help your devotion service, you can try it, but it's not needed.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shruti Priya Mataji and then Ankur Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Shruti Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. I had a realization that somebody had a question earlier. I'll just read out what I can't remember now. So at Dhyana Yoga stage, we are just purifying our mind. After we have come to the Brahman realization, having gone through the Jnana Yoga stage. So Krishna is saying that it's step by step, like you said, the yoga ladder. It's slowly controlling your senses first through the meditation process. And then the Jnana Yoga, you're getting that knowledge that who's Brahman, who's God, and then bringing the mind, controlling and fixing your mind to Krishna, right? I just wanted that to be confirmed, my understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So another question, you talked about the limbs, the different limbs, and the after dhyana yoga, dhyana is more intensified meditation. You reach a samadhi stage, which is trance. And I was thinking all these sages who used to retire in the mountains, who go in samadhi, their bodily needs are minimized, basically. They can go without food and all that for a long time. So is that like the body then kind of stops at the samadhi stage, that it is, I don't know what happens at the samadhi stage, the bodily needs, I'm trying to understand.
Well, Dhruva Maharaj did that when he went to the forest for 6 months. In the first I think in the first month he had fruits. In the second month, it was progressive. The idea here is that the body, when the spirit soul completely controls the bodily needs can be diminished or met. And in fact, even one can sustain one's life air using the control or using dhyana yoga. So these are the advanced stages. And there, yes, definitely it is possible. But in the modern age, we don't have that kind of training. So we do feel like what they used to do in the previous times was little impossible, but it was pretty much possible. In fact, it is mentioned in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that Dhritarashtra was able to do this. So they had that training in the previous times.
So in current times, is that because we are in the Kali Yuga and there are effects of the Kali Yuga on us?
Because it is ineffective. Kaler dosha niderajan estihi ekumangana kirtana deva krishna mukta sangha pramrajet. The only redeeming quality of this age is to chant the names of Krishna, by which one becomes liberated, which is the end goal of all these, the samadhi and so on and so forth. We don't have that kind of bodies. We don't have that kind of purity of environment. We don't have that kind of training. We don't have that kind of teachers. So many things are lacking. And besides, in this age of Kali, it will become really ineffective. And you can see there are perfect yoga teachers, right? If you can see, they have like really advanced yoga degrees and they are teaching yoga, but they have no clue of the purpose of life. So it becomes really ineffective. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Ankur Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you for spending your time and your compassion upon us to enlighten us into deeper mysteries of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna said that because you are my friend and devotee, you can understand it. So you have understood those mysteries and your mercy upon us that you are explaining them to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Prabhu, we had some discussion today around Mad Bhakti Labate Param. So you mentioned that because of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have been given the adhikar to perform bhakti even though we are not at Brahma Bhuta platform. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as a devotee. He came in the mood of a devotee. So did he provide any Shastric reference or any scriptural reference that how can we do bhakti even at our contaminated stage when we are full of selfish desires? Second question will be, how's that bhakti, mad bhakti labate param, that bhakti is different than our present day bhakti at the sadhaka stage? I think Shirisha Mataji also asked that question. What we are doing is Nishkam Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, something related to that. How's our present bhakti different than mad bhakti labate param? Because at present stage, I'm interested in earning money because I have some selfish desires. So I cannot think that my bhakti is at the level of Mad Bhakti Labate Param. So how's that different? And is there any Shastric reference which gives us adhikar to do bhakti even at our contaminated stage? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So in the 9th chapter, when we come, Krishna mentions the verse. I know you are a scholar, so you must know this verse. Abhichet suduracharo bhajate maam ananyabhag. Sadhureva samantavya samyak vyasito hisa. Interesting in that the translation is, even if one is situated or considered to be the most abominable person, if that person is undeviatedly able to do devotion to me, then he's considered to be a sadhu. The more interesting or the deeper aspect or the subtler aspect is, two are not mutually exclusive, but two can be in the same person. An extreme abominable character and unalloyed devotion resting in the same person together. If it were not so, then Krishna would not have made this statement. So, but the mystery is to get the seed of devotion. That is the tough part. I can't get it on my own, but if I get it through mercy of either Guru or Krishna or a devotee or just my Ajnata Sukriti, whatever could be the reason, then I am in luck. It's like I hit a lottery. One way or other, I got the seed of bhakti.
Yes.
So the fact that I can get the seed of bhakti without having these qualifications that itself shows that Mad Bhakti Labate Param. Otherwise, Krishna wouldn't mention these. Bhakti is so topmost that how can a perfect Ashtanga yogi can perform abominable activities? His mind is controlled. He's seeing everybody equally. He sees the same thing. How will he ever do that? So you get the idea. Now, the first part of the question is answered. So far, so
That's right. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. So, given the fact that the pure devotees are of two types, Ankurji. One is the pure devotee in Sankalpa, and one is pure devotee in reality or practice or beings or Adhikar and Sankalpa. So, as long as my Sankalpa remains that I want pure devotion to Krishna, externally I may be earning money for selfish reasons, or more importantly, like not having that faith in Krishna of Ananyas Chintayantoma, that I haven't reached that stage. So I'm afraid if I don't earn money today, that my wife and my children will not have enough to eat. So you get the idea. But my devotion is going to be, my ultimate goal is that I want pure devotion to Krishna. I'm not yet there. My Sankalpa is there, Adhikar is not there. So we are all in the, not, you're all exalted. So I mean, in that first category, the Sankalpa, but no Adhikar. So, so that kind of helps. Many examples in Chaitanya Charitamrita give us. The gross sinful activities are a Jagaya Madhaya category. The subtle intellectual are Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He gives so many examples where he reforms, where he kind of changes the heart. But so the bhakti acts upon everybody without having their prerequisite. As I said, the tricky part is to get the seed. And if I get it, the prerequisites are not, doesn't matter.
Thank you so much.
If that were not so, and the last point on that, if that were not so, if that was not possible, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would have never even introduced it. Knowing Kali Yuga Valas, you people are anyway useless. You will never get what I'm trying to say. So, let me not even try. Let me come to this world, enjoy my own private reasons for why. It was a private visit of the Lord, not public visit. It was a private visit to relish the mood of Srimati Radharani, then go back. But the fact that everybody was eligible, Mahaprabhu said you should do it. Is that a good enough thing?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Then Rampriya Prabhu also has a question.
Hare Krishna. Rampriya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I had a question. So when I was reading this third shloka, so Krishna talks about the two stages of the yoga practitioner, Aruruksha and Aruda. So one who is beginner and one who is advanced. So is this only in the context of the eightfold mystic yoga practitioners, or this is also applicable to, Krishna is also talking in reference of any generic yoga practitioner, like be it a bhakti or that was my first part. And if it is in the general context, like yoga practitioner, like bhakti is also bhakti yoga practitioner, then in the bhakti again we understand adav shraddha tada sadhu sangha all the way to bhakti prema. So in these 8 stages, and also we talk about chanting in terms of aparad, namabhas and shuddhanam. So what is this yoga aruda stage in terms of bhakti's levels of practice?
So I think the second question is answered when I say that in the first question, this is applicable only to the Ashtanga Yoga. It is not applicable to other stages. But the other stages have their own divisions, don't get me wrong. So for example, for the Bhakti stage, Rampriya Prabhu, we have the famous verse Adav Shraddha. So we have that gradation. But so, in the Karma Yoga, it is either the beginning stages, you do it on your own. The advanced stages, Tadvidi Pranipatena. Go get knowledge from a guru. So you have that stages in there in everywhere. So, but Aruda and Arurukshu are specifically to Ashtanga Yoga.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhu. So the related question was also in the same context, like when Arjuna asks, like a riven cloud, if somebody is not successful, he gets, depending on what stage of yoga you are, either you take in the like a rich mercantile family after enjoying in the heavenly planets, or you take birth among the transcendentalists, like how Prabhupada also mentioned, about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and himself. So in terms of bhakti, that advanced stage, what is that advanced stage when after maybe you're almost there, but maybe you may not have finished, and then you get again that chance by taking birth in the transcendentalist family?
So for those who are like almost reaching their ultimate goal in bhakti, one of the options, there are multiple options, but one of the options, Srila Prabhupada writes in the 2nd chapter of the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, where it is mentioned, Brahma says to the demigods that Lord Vishnu has told me that he is going to come to the earth as Krishna. You all should take birth in the world, and then you should assist the Lord in his pastimes. In that context, it is mentioned that the Surastriyas, or the heavenly ladies, they were all very exalted devotees, and now they are taking birth wherever Krishna is appearing in this world to further purify and to get further trained. And if they are successful in that, then they go back to Golok. If not, they again take birth in similar such places. So that is one of them, but there are multiple other paths also.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ramdev Prabhu. Good to see you.
Bhumika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I actually just wanted to clear the concepts. I think I know, but sometimes I get confused when I've seen in the context.
Yes,
it's like I see Brahman, Paramatma, and Supreme, right? So Brahman is more effulgence of Krishna, and I think I heard or read somewhere that neophyte sees the Brahman and not the Supreme. I didn't understand that part. And also here I read in the 6th chapter, impersonal Brahman, which is localized super soul. So I don't understand that part. So if you can please explain. Thank you.
Sure. So one way to understand is when you see sunlight, you see the sunlight across pretty much everywhere. You're not distinguishing whether the sun is on the car or in your room or on your hand. It is the same sunlight, and that is Brahman. But when you actually take katoris or bowls of water, and you keep those katoris outside where the sun is shining. So, Bhumika Mataji, can you see the reflection of sun in each of those bowls or katoris with water?
Yes.
That is Paramatma. And then Bhagavan is sun itself. Even a very crude example, because reflection, Paramatma is not just a mere reflection, but an expansion in that sense. So, so that in of itself is the difference between Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And when one attains perfection in Ashtanga Yoga, then you will see that, oh, I see, just I'm not the spirit, but also God is there. God is a spirit, and He's spread everywhere. God is there everywhere. Everything is within Him, and He is within everything as Paramatma. So that is the realization that you see of Krishna. Is that okay, or was there further to that particular question?
No, yes, Prabhu, I understand that. So, so when, for example, the yogi reaches Brahma Jyoti or Brahma effulgence of Krishna, it's not the same as reaching the Krishna, right? So it's because it's just merging into the Brahman.
Correct.
And so, and what is impersonal Brahma? It's localized super soul. How is it different?
So impersonal Brahman is that there is no form, but the individual form of the Lord, which is sitting in the heart of everybody, is the localized super soul. That is why it's called quote unquote localized, because it seems local to every living entity. Whereas impersonal Brahman means it's spread all over, and it's limitless, and it's light and effulgence.
But isn't it same as Paramatma then? No.
Localized super soul is same as Paramatma.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Yeah, same. Paramatma or localized super soul is one and the same. In fact, to add to the confusion or to remove the confusion, Srila Prabhupada writes Paramatma, he writes Antaryami, he writes super soul, he writes super spirit. All these things are the same personality who's sitting in our heart.
Got it, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Sukharupa Mataji and Ashray Madhav Prabhu.
Haribol, Haribol, Srivas Prabhu. Hare
Haribol.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Very, very interesting, very nice topic, Dhyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. So I had one comment to make on the Dharana stage. Some people, they take very lightly the Yama and Niyama stage. But I was reading a book on yoga, not Krishna consciousness, but the properly, before coming to Krishna consciousness, I was reading a lot of yoga books. In that, they have mentioned that Yama and Niyama is not to be taken lightly. In fact, it is, they were saying, the most important part of the Ashtanga Yoga. Why? Because if you don't do that strictly, 100%, there is no escape to that. Then whatever you don't do there will block your way in moving from pranayam to dharana state. You won't be able to achieve dharana.
Right.
Some other demigods or your material desires that will serve, because your mind has become so calm that even that small material desire will surface up and will take you away from dharana state.
Nice.
You won't be able to achieve dharana, and that is many of the demons basically they are not able to go to the dharana stage of super soul. They get carried away by all these powers and everything, and then they are self-destructive sort of.
Thank you. So, and that's an excellent point you brought up, which we can use to close out this end of discussion. So, in the Brahman stage, the potential trap is that having the mistaken identity that I am that or I am God, and God is and I are the same. And how many millions of people belabor under that impression in India. Right. So the trap with the Ashtanga yogas or the perfection of Ashtanga yogas, one gets siddhis or mystic powers. And those mystic powers are 8 in number, and we can look it up in Bhagavatam, Anima, Lagima. Don't worry, they are not going to come in the exam. There is Anima, there is Lagima, there is Kamya Vashyata. There are eight of them. And Anand Kishore, you can put it up if you have that in Bhagavatam. That is in the 11th canto. And so when you get these mystic powers, then you think, oh, this is it. This is the perfection. I have also acquired some godlike powers that I can use. So one has to be careful. Therefore, Vritrasura prays in that we'll do that beautiful verse and close that. It is 6th canto, 11th chapter, 26th verse. Somebody can pull up. I can make sure that indeed that is the verse. No, 25, please. Can somebody look at the verse? 6, 11, 25, please. Thank you. Okay. Anand Kishore Prabhu, you didn't get a chance to read. You asked everybody to read. So please read after me.
Should I read the verse?
No, just repeat after me, please.
Oh, sorry.
Nanakapristam nacha parameshtyam.
Nanakapristam nacha parameshtyam.
Nasarvabhaumam narasadipatyam.
Nasarvabhaumam narasadipatyam.
Yoga siddhir apunarbhavam va.
Yoga siddhir apunarbhavam va.
Samanjasatva virahaya kangshe.
Samanjasatva virahaya kangshe.
Translation.
O my Lord, O source of all opportunities, I do not desire to enjoy in Dhruva Loka, the heavenly planets, or the planet where Lord Brahma resides. Nor do I want to be the supreme ruler of all the earthly planets or the lower planetary systems. I do not desire to be the master of the powers of mystic yoga. Nor do I want liberation if I have to give up your lotus feet.
So now you can see how we are getting glimpses that I don't want yoga siddhis, na yoga siddhir, because if I am achieve perfection in Ashtanga yoga, I get the yoga siddhis. I can become smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest, heavier than the heaviest. I can control anybody. I can put my hand and reach out to the fruits in the heavenly planets and get them. I just need to do that. That's it. Reach out the hand anywhere, all over the universe. I can just get whatever I need to get. All these seem really fascinating and amazing. But a pure devotee like Maharaj Chitraketu, who is Rudrasura, he will say, I don't want this. I just want the loving service to your lotus feet. And that's the goal. And that's the beginning. That's why Krishna is saying, Yoginam api sarvesham, that of those who serve me with faith, those who serve me with devotion, they are the highest yogis and they are most intimately united with me. And from the 7th chapter onwards, we'll see what that intimacy is all about. All right, I think if there are no more questions, we can stop here. And it's dot 3 o'clock. So thank you so very much. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time before we take the winter break, I guess, right? Today is the 6th, so we have a class on 20th, I guess. And then we do the 7th, and then we can take the break for winter and we can see you. Please stay safe. There is still COVID thing going on. And my humble request is to make sure that take precautions. So thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sindhu Kanya. I'm so happy to see you.
Good to see
Hari Bol, Anvaya. Did you eat your lunch?
Yes.
What did you eat for lunch?
Potato.